Hi everybody, it's Leslie here again. This is another edition of Use Up Your Craft Stuff, but hopefully this one isn't going to end in me throwing everything away. So I got a bag full of sparkle medium from Imagination Crafts, included in one of my Facebook Marketplace finds, and it had all these and these, so that's what? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, that's 15 pots. And all but 2 were pretty much completely dried up. And there was a few that were really nearly dried up. So these are quite expensive. Some of these have got £4 something on them, £5 something on one's even got £6.49 on it. So I'm guessing the price on them has been going up over the years. At £5 a pot, I didn't just want to throw them away if they were dried out. So I'll show you this one. This is Diamond. And other than maybe 2 of them, most of them were like this. Can you hear? Rock hard. It feels like, well, you certainly couldn't spread it like a paste. But I thought, well, what can I do with them? So I did a quick web search and I found a really old blog post, which I'll link somewhere down below, that said these are water-based, and if you add boiling water from your kettle to them, you can bring them back to life. Now, it did say for one, if you were going to be putting them away for a while, add water to them, like before the winter if you weren't going to use them. And they like being hot, which is a bit counterintuitive because you'd think them being hot would make them dry out faster. But if you boil your kettle and add about 2 teaspoonfuls at a time, it said the ones, so this one I've not done anything to, and this one's just about, can you see? It's still a gel, and you can still use this and spread it. Hopefully you can see it stuck to my finger. So this is kind of the consistency they're meant to be, but I think it's gone a little bit dry. So I think the idea is you add your 2 teaspoonfuls of water to ones like this, and it'll bring them completely back. It said it might make them go a bit hazy, a bit white, like PVA glue goes white when it's wet. But I thought, well, there's some that are a bit further gone than that. So this red one was slightly worse than that one. And I thought, well, I'll give it a go. So I added boiling water from my kettle, and hopefully you can see it has just gone a bit white, hazy, like I'd say PVA glue is, but bearing in mind this was getting on for harder, it's like nice gel again. So it certainly worked. And all I did was add a couple of teaspoonfuls at a time and use one of my kids' really old metal spoons just to keep scraping it all around and mixing it. So it worked for that one. And I thought, well, I've nothing to lose trying it on one of the really solid ones. So this one here, this Welsh Gold, was as hard as this, which is the Diamond, which I've not done anything with yet. So this was pretty much rock solid. And all I did was, again, kid's teaspoon, and I scraped so that it was coming off in layers, so it wasn't rock hard. And I kept scraping and scraping. It took me about 5 minutes, but look. It's like, it's not as smooth as even the red one, and it's certainly not as smooth, but you could certainly spread it through a stencil. And I thought, well, maybe, and I added a lot more than 2 teaspoonfuls of water to this. I probably added about 10 teaspoonfuls, but I did it kind of 2 teaspoonfuls at a time. And it's not perfect. There's still some hard bits around the edges. But I think if I'd kept adding water and mixing and adding and mixing, but can you see? It's definitely not rock solid. And it's definitely usable, that you could scoop some out and spread it through a stencil or similar. And I thought, well, maybe they won't dry because I've added so much water. So I tested them. So this is, let's go with this one. This is the Golden Bronze, which I've done nothing to at all. So you can see you can give it a really good rub and nothing really coming off, maybe the tiniest bit. So that one's dried nicely. So that's the one that I've done nothing to. Then the bright red, which I've added a bit of water, but I thought this would work because this is what the blog post said. It's just gone a bit hazy. That's dried. Again, very little coming off there. And you can hear, even if I scratch it, there's not really anything comes off. And then this is the one I was least confident about. So this is what I'd added 10 plus teaspoons of boiling water to. This is the Welsh Gold. But look, I managed to spread it quite thin, even though it's still a bit thick. Same thing. I thought that this might not dry and it might shed, but seems to have worked just as well as the one I've done nothing to and the one that I've only added a little bit of water to. So, although this is a Use Your Craft Stuff video and I usually end up throwing things away at the end of them, in this case, always do a little search, see if you can revive it and still use it. So, yes, use your craft stuff up, but if you find something, you might be able to revive it. And I'm thinking things, you can always find out if things are water-based or if they're alcohol-based. So with these, all I needed to do was boil my kettle and spend a bit of time mixing. But I know some things like alcohol pens, you can add a few drops of alcohol to sometimes, like the really high alcohol percentage stuff. And sometimes you can revive them and get a bit more life out of them. So it's always worth a little check before you throw things away. But yeah, use your craft stuff up. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.